Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Woke by Accident Podcast, a weekly chat about socially conscious topics impacting the culture. And hey guys, we have one of our most favorite co-hosts, Sambaza, host and creator of the Sambaza podcast, who proudly hails from the Republic of Kenya in East Africa. He is a two-time nominee for Best African Diasporic Podcast by the APVA for 2020 and 2022. He has also been a presenter at Afros and Audio Podcast Festival in 2020 and 2021. And he will be, a ambassador for Afros and Audio Podcast Festival for 2024. Welcome to the show, Sambaza.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yes, sir. Good to have you here. This is our International Women's Month recap and wrap up show. So glad to have you here so that we could talk about those episodes that we did. I can't believe we had so many. It seemed like a little like this was really literally supposed to be a Black History project, and it rolled into two series. So thoughts on that?
Yeah, it was really interesting when we started off just saying we're going to do four, and then here we are just clearing International Women's Month, and I must say I learned a lot in this few episodes. Well, I'll say few, but there are a lot of episodes.
For sure.
A lot of
So
good content.
yeah, for sure, definitely. And so the game plan is we're going to take a look back at some of those episodes. I have a few clips um, from the series that we did for March, for International Women's Month. We had some really great guests, and it's amazing that we were able to come up with these guests in a really short time frame. Like I said, this was really all very organic, guys. Sabaza and I are part of a podcast collective, and we just kind of had a brainstorming session and came up with some ideas, and put our heads together and routed reached out and talked to some folks, and we made it happen for you guys. And we really came up with some really nice pieces of work, I would say. So let's get into the first one. That was episode 147, featuring Miss Tiffany B, that kicked off the International Women's Month series for Health Matters. And so let's take a look. Let's take a look. Let's see.
Household, we tend to be the head of the family. We
Mhm.
are the caretakers, the nurturers of the family. So we tend to take care of everyone else, and we leave ourselves to the side before we go. It's usually more advanced. Our situations are more advanced, so we don't have self-care. Number one, for African American women, we don't take care of ourselves as much as we should. And when we do finally step out on a ledge and go and take care of ourselves, um we tend to be pushed to the side, or our symptoms are trivialized by the
Mhm.
healthcare professional. So we have to be very astute about being an advocate for ourselves. We have to know, we have to do preventative care. So, that's one of the things that we don't do as African American women. We take care of everybody else because that's what it historically has been, and that's what it is now. So that's one of the major disparities. The head of the house.
So that was a clip from episode 147, featuring Tiffany B, where we talked about various health matters. And your thoughts on that, Sabaza?
Yeah, I think the education that we learned from there was highly it was actually a great start to the all the other episodes that came by, because it set the base about health matters, and you'll see as we go along, as we do the review. um in that particular clip, she's talking about the way women are being, or she reveres women on how astute they are with regard to how they tackle issues, especially health matters. And this is just a clip. I would advise you to go listen to the whole episode or watch the episode, because it tells a lot about how women are kind of sidelined, and then how they should project themselves and be able to stand firm on medicine matters, actually health matters. And that's what I got from that particular clip, and the
For
rest of
sure,
it. Yeah.
definitely. We as Black people, men and women, need to, put our health as a priority, but especially women who, like Tiffany mentioned in the clip, busy taking care of everyone else's needs and tend to put um, their needs, last, or even, not neglecting them altogether, and ignoring some things that could be prevented with exercise and diet had it been caught earlier on. So you definitely, I agree that we should put our health first, get those routine checks and things like that we talked about. Please revisit that episode, guys, either on the audio side or the visual side, which is on YouTube as well. All right. There was one other really great clip with Miss Tiffany, and where Sambaza had some good nuggets here. Well, let's go to this clip next.
I'm laughing. We're saying the woman is a champion, and us as the men of the household. Now I'm gonna try to champion for the men. What can we do to help out? Can we help out, or can we help you out in terms of when we go to when you in this time of need, in the, let's say your health is, it's not of the best. What can we do to help? Where can we play our part, or what part can we play, or what role can we play?
What role you can play?
Yes, even though we're the head of the house, what can we do?
Be supportive of your mate. Listen to them when they tell you they're not feeling well. If they're saying they're hurting, then
Hmm.
believe them. One of the things that women do well, especially African American women, I don't know, I don't think a race of women, I don't think any other race do it better than an African American woman, and that is work in spite of.
Wow. Okay, Sambaza, thoughts on that one?
That was a very strong statement,
It
and
was.
I wanted to come in because, as a man, because we tend to not look at it on the other side, because we're not women, we're men, and it's always a thing that we have to help. We're together. If you have a spouse, your significant other, be it your mom, your wife, your sister, or cousin, right?
Mm-hmm.
um you should be able to help out in any way you can and understand where they're coming from, especially when they tell you they're hurt. They might say
Right.
they're hurt, but, and for real, it's not that. They might toss it like, oh, it's just regular stuff. No, don't take it as regular stuff. Look for the cues that you need to look for, and then help out. That was the most important thing, because as men, we kind of like, okay, you're fine, okay, you know.
True, and I would add that remind each other of things. We may need to get our health checkups with the doctor, or what when men hit 40, you need to be starting to get your prostate exam scheduled and things like that. And just, take care of each other in that way. Even our elders, we talked about caring for elders and things like that. Before my mom's health worsened, I did act as a big caregiver and with her care. And that was, a lot to take on. And a lot of people are doing it every day. So, these things are really, important for sure.
And I think, Jen, one more thing I want to add is, I think when you talk about men, you say prostate. We're gonna have to look at it starting from maybe about 30 years old, because the
Hmm.
age is a bit lower now.
Okay.
So maybe when there's marriage, looking at marriage, when you get married, you kind of look at the family history and then say, hey, you know what? Because maybe your parent had it, you might want to have those checkups. So yeah, those are things you might want to look at. Just a tidbit.
For sure, definitely. And then that was 147. 148, we talked about mental health and destigmatizing mental health for Black women and really the Black family. We put Black women, since it was Women's Month, so we kind of tackled the whole family with that destigma destigma. I want to say destigmatization, but I know I'm saying it wrong. Destigmatizing mental health because it is a stigma. There's certainly a stigma with mental health. It's not promoted as much to get therapy and things like that and discuss your feelings, doing breathing exercises, all the things, keeping a journal, all of the things that will assist in your mental health. Is, kind of on a quiet, and things like that. And so we talked about that in this episode. Any thoughts before we show the clip?
Um, let's think about the angry black woman.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes when you talk about the angry black woman, maybe at that point things are not the way they're supposed to be. So it's not because they're angry, but maybe they're stressed out, and this is part of their mental health. You get to a breaking point. Now, how can we streamline it before it gets to that point?
Okay. All right, let's go to the clip before we share anything additional. I have some thoughts, but let's go to the clip. Let's go to the clip. All right. The angry black woman, Lord. Let's see.
My a cultural thing. However, at this time we're looking at the limited access to healthcare and social economic disparities. Maybe mine will be on the social economic part where, or maybe the cultural part, or where we can kind of digest that. So, how does it impact women, Black women, in mental health outcomes?
There, it depending on the therapist or medical provider that Black women go to, hopefully they are culturally competent, because
Mhm.
there are still individuals who believe that Black women exaggerate their pain levels,
Mhm.
um, that we're very much dramatic in our symptoms, or we don't know what we're talking about. So, first, we have to go to, and seek out culturally competent individuals.
Okay, let's do the next clip and then we'll discuss. Let's see if I can. Let's just go right into the next clip with Denise. Shout out to Denise D. Moore, licensed mental health counselor, who did a phenomenal job speaking with us. We did appreciate that so much. Let's see if I can go here.
Angry. It's a lot of feelings out there that we do not identify. There's a lot of thoughts that we confuse as feelings. So
Mhm.
write that down. Cry if you need to cry. If you have a lot of pent up anger,
Mhm.
scream it out. Play a song, sing it to the top of your lungs. You may need to go for a run or go to the gym. If you don't want to cry in front of people, go into the shower. Go into the shower and cry. There's a release that needs to take place, but you have to start recognize it and own it. I guess Sambaza said I was talking too much.
That's not.
No, no,
He
no, no,
rang
no.
the
That was a
bell.
mistake. That was a mistake. Sorry.
So I hope, and so I
But that
hope
was a
that was
good
helpful.
point. No, that's to say
Mhm.
it's a good point. I was to say gem. That's a gem right there.
There we go. Ashe. That was a good one. Your thoughts on that, Sabasa? You're on mute, friend.
I think the first part was where it basically sums up everything. Remember when I said the ABW, angry black woman. It it's sort of like they misunderstood. You get the right person, and based on that clip, she said, "Be intentional about who you want, and when you go to your care provider, make sure that she's aware of your shortcomings, right? Because you're a person, and then when they understand you, they'll be able to assist you much better." And I think when we come to this, the first two that we talked about, it was more about being intentional about who you seek health from.
Right.
Yes, there are
True.
always going to be those issues of being limited to what you can get in terms of health, but fight for it. Don't just let it go, and say, just because I live here, I don't have access to any programs. No, go out there, search, and if you go searching, you will find what you're looking for, because there's a lot of help out there in this world right now, and in terms of mental health, both in men and women.
For sure, definitely. Being intentional is crucial in finding the appropriate and proper health care provider. She mentioned, women may want to seek out a female doctor or African American woman doctor, for example, that would be sensitive to their needs and things like that. I know I had to change GYNs recently, and so I, kind of had to do a little research and such and got a few recommendations and ended up with a person of color, but I didn't find a black woman. But it's a person of color, and she's younger because that's a consideration too. Sometimes you want an maybe older, more seasoned doctor thinking that, oh, they're more experienced, but sometimes, you may be comfortable with someone who is younger and their training is more current and up to date, so it's different ways you can look at that.
What about when she said that issue of you can vent out your anger, take a walk, and stuff like that?
Mm.
Do you think it's practical on your side? Would you do something like that?
For sure, those are the things that we were talking about that are still a stigma in the community. Simple things like you mentioned, taking a walk, journaling. You may just scream in the shower, but don't keep those feelings and anger bottled up because it's not healthy for you at all. She is a licensed health professional, and so we heard it from her. It's not good to keep those things in, and it's something simple that if you're not ready to sign up for therapy, that you can do, right there on your own. So I agree that that would be
Okay.
something good to do for sure.
Awesome. I believe that too.
Definitely. And even if, exercising, there's so many different ways, and outlets that you can get into. I know I do a Zumba class with some ladies. I've missed several classes, but I mean, it's fun and it's, being in a group and listening, and, trying to learn the routines and things like that. It's fun. It's a good time. So, whatever, that may not be the thing for you, but find something that works for you.
Right, just don't go out in the rain and
What
start
do you
running
mean?
like in the movies when those people start running and then it starts raining. I'm like, what's up with that? You ever watch the movies? Somebody starts running, then suddenly they start running in the
Yeah.
rain.
I mean, it works, it may work. So let's move along. Episode 149
Mhm.
featured, we talked about promoting healthy lifestyle. So, keeping with our mind, body, and soul, if you will. And we've got more to come on that too. But we talked about, the physical piece of health and promoting healthy lifestyles. And we had the wonderful Flo Elkins. And so let's take a look at one of these clips from that particular episode. Let's see. Oh, do I? Let me see. Uh, that's the health one. Oh, do I have this one ready? Wait a minute. That's the next one. Okay, so Flo Elkins was our um, fitness and wellness uh, strategist, and she talked about healthy diet and things like that. Anything you want to share on this episode? While I try to get it together with our clips.
Oh, she was talking about the vegan diet that she
Hmm.
took on, and what was unique about it is how you get around it to be able to find out things that are more geared towards the vegan life, not vegan lifestyle. She made us correct that. She said in a vegan diet, veganism is something else that is not the same. However, she also told us about how to exercise, how to keep fit, walking, and stuff like that. So, diet and exercise is what she was recommending for anyone who's trying to get themselves
Hey
healthy.
guys, welcome to.
And as women, yeah, we do they do need, why am I saying as women, women need to take care of themselves in a holistic way, meaning that as we talk about healthcare, you go to the doctor, and then you also have to take care of your mental health. And then now we're talking about your exercise part, where you have to make sure you look at your health, not health, but your exercise and your diet, because that's usually the start of everything.
Correct, definitely. Okay, I think I have the one I was looking for. Thank you for
I'm
sharing
ready.
that. Let's go here.
Thoughts on those substitutions for like meat and things like that.
Well, I am a big Beyond Burger eater.
Okay. Okay.
And I know a lot of people don't like Beyond Burger. Some people like Impossible Burger and all that, whatever. But I do eat Beyond Burger products. And I will also say I'm a stock owner. So, I'm making a little money off of the money that I spend eating it.
Mhm.
But I also believe in eating lots of vegetables, fruits, and whole foods. I eat.
Okay, shout out to Flo Elkins. We had a great time with her, and we have Tiffany Bird, and shout out to her. Thank you for joining in. And the cool thing that she said, we talked about, a lot of people in the chat start talking about this piece about when you grew up, clean your plate. You even said that you say that to your kids. Touch on that part. How that, really, I don't want to say it really sounds like something that, may have been like from slavery times and it just stuck along some of that post-traumatic slave syndrome type of thing. You better clean your plate. She's saying, they're still not going to have it, even if you do eat all your food on your plate and it's just kind of a bad habit. You know what I mean? Speak to that.
Yeah, I think when you talk about it being the slave part, I'm from Africa, so when I grew up, we were told the same thing. You have to finish what you're eating. So when they put whatever on your plate or food, you have to make sure you finish. Well, they said there are other people who are hungry, so finish the food that you're given, and be thankful. The thankful part, yes, I agree. We have to be thankful. Now, the portion sizes is what is lacking there. Um, I'm going to say I'm thankful to my mom because she used to make sure we had a fruit and made the food was balanced. You had
Mm.
meat, you had veggies, and what have you. I never understood that. I just started understanding when I grew older. However, yes, it's not a good idea to tell kids to finish whatever is on the plate. The most thing I think we should tell them is just put enough, and then when you're done eating, you can always go back for more.
I like that. I like that for sure. Especially when if it's maybe a big meal like a Thanksgiving dinner, people are, heaping this food on your plate, and even little kids, and like she said, they kind of know, like, I had enough, you know what I mean? And they'll tell you, and you're like, so don't push your kids to finish your plate, guys.
I think
You know,
Thanksgiving and Christmas, there's an exception to that.
is that
Even
the
as adults,
exception?
at that time, we always go all out. You eat what you're not supposed to eat, and you gotta take the time and enjoy your meals because it's hard to prepare those meals.
That's true, but like you said, let's be considerate of portion size and things like that. Um, I have, a lot of people in my family who have diabetes. I don't have it, thank God. But they have to really be considered, think about what they eat and the portions and all of that. And, being in the household with folks, you have to be considerate of that. And so, it's something to just keep in mind and be mindful of. There's children that have to deal with diabetes too. So let's just be mindful of those things as well.
Correct, correct.
Yeah. Okay, let's because oh my God, we still have two more episodes to cover as we wine wrap up this series on International Women's Month. So we talked about the promoting healthy lifestyles episode with Flo Elkins, and we had some really good topics covered on that. We moved on to episode 150 with the fabulous Miss Lisa Woolfork, and talked about activism in her art and how she combines the two in a really creative and unique way. Let's get into those clips with Lisa Woolfork. Let's see what we got.
Outrage. I was inspired to do it by love. And by it, I refer to gradually beginning to mobilize and then eventually more fully activate into the aggressive resistance against white supremacy. And that showed up in our community in Charlottesville, Virginia, as early as, well, for quite some time, but it started to matter in around 2013, 2014, when the statues are Confederate / Civil War participation trophies that were installed in these public parks as a way to, to set up racial segregation. We were trying to get those removed. And the white supremacists didn't like that. And so they came and invaded the community. There were fights in the street. There were, in the afternoon, a young woman was.
Okay, so yeah, Lisa shared about how she got involved and what kind of inspired her to get involved with some activism movements in her town, and shared some great information with us. Sambaza, your thoughts or anything that was kind of a takeaway from that conversation?
Yeah. Well, I like the way she said participation trophies, because like everybody was handed a trophy. You get a trophy. You get a trophy for all what you did, and it's the way she explained herself from the start of activism, and it was something that she felt she needed to do. And as a woman of color, these things are hard to do, and she just mustered all the strength that she could get and decided, enough is enough, and let me take action. And we can see it in her art, that she, like you say, she encompassed it with her activism, and she's a very staunch activist when it comes to things of color and defending rights of colored people. And we do appreciate that from her.
For sure. Let's look at one more clip that we have available for that one. And I'm sure, hopefully, you meant people of color, not colored people. Did you say colored people?
What did I go wrong when I said
Oh
colored?
no, I'm
You can
giving
correct
you a
me.
hard time. I'm giving you a hard time. You said colored people, but I think you meant people of color.
Okay.
Okay. All right, Sambaza. Let's go here. We did that one. Let's see.
Some people gain most of their power and influence by depriving other people of their own power and influence. There are some who truly believe and have been indoctrinated to believe that women are inferior and are put on this earth to be baby makers. And by that reason, they tend to believe very firmly in gender as a scientific fact, when it is not, when gender is a social fact, not a scientific fact. And it's not ignorance. It's not ignorance. Ignorance would imply something that could be corrected. Ignorance is solved by knowledge. And how much knowledge have we had, to name one example, of, for example.
Okay. Lisa is just too deep, okay? Look here. When her book comes out, I'm buying it, okay? I don't know about you, but I will make sure Dr. Lisa Woolfork is working on a book. We did mention that on the episode, and so I'm really excited for her. We talked about her win of the Ambies. She was fresh off a 2024 Ambie podcast when, and but she's actually working on a book project, and so as you can see, she's an excellent speaker and so passionate about these topics. So I'm sure that'll be a great read. Sambaza, thoughts, additional thoughts?
Remember what I said about the Handmaid's Tale?
Yeah.
That's kind of what it sounded like, coming up. Um, there's still people who believe up to now that the woman is inferior. One more thing that was profound, and I asked that question because I'm also part of the union. I'm a representative in a union shop at work. Most of the time, we always try to fight for stuff, and then the management always has the upper hand to something, and they'll use this word as management perceives. Management says this. It'll always go towards that point. And as much as you struggle, you never know when you have won. And that's why I asked her one question about what is a win. Because,
Mm,
like the Roe v. Wade, I used that as an example. A lot of people have been fighting for it, and it's almost 50 years. And then to have fought for it for that long, only to come up and be told, hey, you know what? That's it. It's done. When do you consider it a win? Because you want a win.
right. Yeah, that was and what's going on with that is just, it's just really shocking. But yeah, totally. That was some good discussions and points that you pushed on that episode for sure. Definitely. And I love how we talked about how, sewing is a great part of her art. And, just being creative is really a part of our culture. If you think about it, how many people's mother or grandmother sewed and things like that. And then just all those background stories of what, led them to do that particular craft. And those are just part of the stories that she shares. She has designers on. She just talks about all different types of topics on her podcast, which is called Stitch Please. So please support Lisa Wolfork. And we will have the links of all of our guests so that in their businesses and links so that you can reach out. Denise D. Moore, who is a mental health professional. She has a podcast as well and content out here. She has some great content on TikTok even that you can check out and support. Tiffany B is a health professional. You may want to just, shout out and send her a note and, support her. Flo Elkins has a thriving business. So we definitely want to support our independent women business owners and creators for sure. So I wanted to add that in before we get to the last one. Um, any additional thoughts on that, Simbaza?
I have a question. Did they do underground the underground railroad train or the underground railroad? Did they use prints on clothing as part of a design to show how the direction is to head up north? Did they ever do that? Is it part of history, or is
On
people
clothing items, I want
right?
to say that I've read that like the designs and
Mhm.
braids were a part of that communication. We know like songs, some of the spirituals and things like that were a part of the communication. But I don't know that clothing, especially, thinking back in that time period, what they were wearing would communicate anything.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, that's an interesting thought. But I mean, I know, um, and this is just a quick span of memory, but I don't know, that's interesting that so you think there may have been, or you just
I think I may
wondering.
have read it somewhere. I'm
Yeah,
not sure. Yeah.
yeah. There were so many ways that people, left communication and things like that. And then the people who supported, it's like some of the white people who, lent themselves to the movement and supported even back then, and were abolitionists and things like that. So, yeah, that actually reminds me that you shared about slavery um, when you went on your travels?
Oh yeah, this was when I had gone to New Orleans and went to the plantation, and they
Mhm.
had this great. It was an out of this world experience, for one, and then I think I explained how it was, and then they gave you these. They gave you these tags, which had pictures of the kids who were enslaved, and then at the back of it you had information that you could go and check out and find out more about them, and
Mhm.
it was yours to keep. So one of those, I must say, it was one of the great things that one can ever want to go and view in terms of or visit in terms of having to get more knowledge regarding Black history.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that you shared about that. I don't know that going into plantation would be on my to-do list, but I mean, we have to know our history, otherwise, how that saying goes. So I'm glad that you were able to take your family there and have that experience because, like what you shared, it was, quite memorable. So,
Yeah, I think it's memorable.
hmm,
One for the, like you say, one for the age, one for the ages.
definitely.
Right.
Okay, yeah. So this last one that we want to share actually kind of rolled into the top of April, but it went right along with the theme of international, incredible women's stories who we wanted to uplift and share. And we talked about women in sports on episode 151 with Gladys Mahochi, who was phenomenal. Let's get into this clip and we will kind of talk about that particular episode. Let's see what we got here. And if you guys have not already, please like, share, subscribe. We appreciate you. And let's check this one out.
The highest paid athlete, female athlete, and she should get at least 1 million, but she has to play two leagues, the
Yes.
Russian league and then the WNBA. That's how she made up to 1 million. Now you're talking about one person who's a person like Angel Reese who's playing in
Yeah.
the. She hasn't even gone professional yet, and she's making 1.75. That's pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. So you find that's another conversation that needs to be had, because like the women, they have to go to play pro and combine their salaries to be able to, I don't want to say make it, but at least to be able to make a good, decent amount of money.
Right. And a
Yeah.
lot of them go international too, so that they can have better opportunities um, for earning as well, right?
Right. Right. Sorry. I didn't mean professional. I meant professional overseas. Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, and Gladys also wanted to follow up with that.
Oh, but you know what? I thought that was you talking. So no, but that was a good point. What do you share on this one, Sambaza?
Oh yeah, that was great because here we are in this age in 2024, and we are actually not for the salaries. Like 1.75, even still 1.75. That's like a 10-day deal for one of those. Like it's a 10-day contract for a regular NBA player. Now I know that
Right.
it has to do with advertising and how much is invested on the sport. However, there could be some level of parity, but it's
Yeah.
telling that now there's something that's working in the midst, that is making sure that women are coming up in terms of the money aspect. Now, like she said, 1.75. What's your need to go rush to the NBA, to the WNBA? You can stay for a while, play the game, develop the game, become much better. So by the time you leave, the quality of the game becomes, you know, becomes much better than what you would have had. And then coaches keep the players for longer.
Mm.
Uh, Like, can you imagine if Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese were known from the time they became rookies, and they
Mm-hmm.
played all the 4 years, like they were going back to back at each other. That would have created more and more hype for the game of basketball for the women, even though it's hyped up. I think they had 18.7 million
Oh
viewership,
wow.
right, on one of the games, one of the title games. So that is in itself telling about the status of the game. So actually the final had 18.7 million views. So that's telling that people are wanting to watch. If it was for her, yes, but there's some conversation being had with regard to it. And then we also talked about the women who also work in the industry, in the newsroom.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was part of it. Or
Right.
yeah, do you have the clip, or we're gonna?
I don't know if I have that one. Let me see which one I have.
Yeah, I didn't want to jump ahead.
NIL.
Oh, as you're looking for it, also I want viewers to remember that the reason why Gladys is also mentioned in this case, she was mentioned amongst some Kenyan players because they were a group of Kenyan players who actually came to the US to play basketball, and they opened up doors for other players to start playing the game of basketball. Hopefully, this might be a start to me personally trying to get a hold of some of them and getting to know their side of the story, because it has not been told yet. I haven't heard that story being told. Well, it's probably told in clips and bits and pieces, or in you know street conversations or backyard barbecue conversations. But they were a particular group that actually paved the way and made women basketball to be known in Kenya. Any luck on that, Chin? I can hear.
Okay, sorry about that. So let me show you guys this one. I'm not sure which one this one is, but
We'll
it's
take
one of the
any.
ones. Huh?
We'll take any.
Okay. Okay, let's go. So let's see.
They're gonna have to go listen to and watch the stream.
Yes, please. That'd be great.
Yeah, don't
Fantastic.
forget to subscribe too. Subscribe and like, share some comments, tell us what we can do on this.
Um, oh no, here's the one. Okay, here we go.
Mhm. There are still challenges coming up in the studios based on what you see, because I know we're not in the studios. We don't have anyone in there, but from what you see, do you think there's a better representation, and do you think that they still have some challenges when they are presenting? How do you feel about that?
Yeah, so when I look at presenters, first of all, when you talk about the women in sports, you'll always have where you have to promote gender equality, because that's prevalent everywhere in all the jobs, in all the professions. So that in itself, we know that chances are, as they go in there, chances are they're not being paid the same as the men. Women always end up earning less.
Mm.
So that's one thing. You find that they may have the time.
Okay, and then let me see if I can go right into the other one that I. Oh, this isn't the other one. Let me see which one this is.
Was the highest
Oh, we
paid
did that one.
female athlete,
Good.
and she should get at least 1 million, but she has to play two leagues, the
Yes,
Russian league and then the WNBA. That's how she made up to 1 million. Now you're talking about one person who's a person like Angel Reese, who's playing in
yes, yeah,
she hasn't even gone professional yet, and she's making 1.75. That's pretty good.
yeah, yeah. So you find that's another conversation that needs to be had, because like the women, they have to go to play pro and combine their salaries to be able to, I don't want to say make it, but at least to be able to make a good, decent amount of money.
right? And a
Yeah.
lot of them go international too, so that they can have better opportunities for earning as well, right?
Right, right. Sorry, I didn't mean profession. I meant
Okay. So yeah, those were ones from the episode with Miss Gladys Mahochi. We had a really great conversation about women in sports, like we talked about the NIL piece. Angel Reese, Angel Reese, is that it? Okay, yes. And then how things were different from like when she was playing, and really if more than a few years ago to now. Who would have ever thought that college on the college level that they would be compensated that way? Because I had always thought it was unfair for years, especially like when I was in school. The players, their faces are on t-shirts and cups, but they don't, and they're literally trying to hustle up a meal in the dining hall. You know what I mean? Like, can I get a swipe on your card?
Yeah, that was with the NIL. That's what she was talking about, the NIL.
Yeah, for sure. So times have changed for sure, but like we still have a long way to go for equality with women. Um, yes.
That is true. But we're getting there. It starts like a step. I don't know. We never mentioned about tennis as well. I think there was a fight with the Williams sisters regarding their pay, and I forget the other lady. She was one of the, well, I think she won the Wimbledon, but she's always there. You'll see her. Um, I think by last year, the pay had increased. It was not like it was before. So there was some gap. The gap had been reduced.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. So that was a good episode, and that took us into April, where we are now. We do have some good things planned for you all. And guess we'll keep that under wraps for now as we still, finishing touches on the content. But yeah, we will. The plan is to bring you some more content to acknowledge. What did I want to cover? So, well, I guess we can talk about the subject matters just for what's on the horizon. We did want to acknowledge Autism Awareness Month, so there is some plans to discuss that in the capacity a Black counselor who is a male. So, a counselor from the male perspective, we have that as Mental Health Awareness Month is approaching us in May. So these are just some of the things. Earth Month is this month too, so we may do that and talk about sustainability. Um, Part of, or a side hustle that I have is being a reseller, and a big part of the purpose behind being a reseller is the sustainability piece, and it's really good for the planet and such. I kind of want to share a bit on that. So we just have a lot of different things as far as what's coming up next, and then some additional conversations with some creators. We love to do that.
I'm glad you talked about the clothes, and I'm happy that you are focusing on the earth clothes. Trying to create sustainable clothing, because they talk about Shein. I read an article about the Shein where they make these clothes so many
Mhm,
so fast
mhm,
and so cheap
mhm.
that even after they make the profit, then there's an issue of fine. It's out of the hype. Uh, well, it's out of fashion at that time, and they
Mm.
have to get rid of it. And when they do get rid of it, it's a lot of clothes that
Oh
has
my
gotten rid.
God.
So being earthly conscious is great, and since Earth Day is approaching, I think that's a good way of talking about some of these industries.
Yes, and I thought you were going to share additionally, but they literally take all of the clothes and just dump it. One of my platforms is a site called Whatnot, and so you actually like live stream there. One of the Whatnot sellers went live from where they dump it, and she actually like showed the video of it, and it's just crazy. And she says she went and tried to grab as much as she could, and she actually like broke out in tears about it because I guess it is kind of, or it is, shocking that they just do this type of waste in this manner, and it, is pretty, it's not good for the planet. It's not good for the environment at all. So yeah, these things go on, and so put it in someone else's hands, is a sustainable practice as well as many other things. And I would love to share some of the other ways that you can be sustainable, that you may not be aware as well. So I think that would be a good uh, thing we could talk about.
So I have a question before we break out. Out of all these topics, which one stood out for
Yeah.
you in
hmm
terms? And I'm not saying that it was the best.
hmm
Which one just came out and you were like, okay, I got in as a podcaster and I love the show.
I would say maybe our first one about the health matters. I'm coming off of losing my mom and a lot of health challenges that she went through, and just having that conversation where something as simple as diet, exercise, and just making simple changes could have change someone's health had they put that in place maybe 10, 15 years earlier. And looking at my own health path of where I want to be on the horizon, because I'm not in a good way, and I definitely am trying to work on that. But when we talked about those things and having those conversations with doctors, and I got to share with Tiffany B, who was a health professional, and understood having those, talking to doctors can be difficult, intimidating even. And yeah, so that one kind of touched me from what I've, recently experienced, perhaps.
Okay. And I have another question regarding the format that we did, the people that we brought on. We started with the health, stigmatizing, went to mental health. First of all, it was your health, basic health. Then we looked at mental health. Then we looked at diet and exercise. Then we also looked at activism, because remember, all these three parts that we started off had some activism in it, because
For sure.
there was some form of losing, and then you try to make up for what you lost. So you're fighting for your rights as a woman. So we had those three, and then finally we talked about sports, which actually integrated everything. What do you feel about that? How did you feel it came out?
Yeah, I mean, and really, like, it wasn't the design and plan. It just kind of happened that way organically, which really it makes it even more cool. And something to stand back and really be proud of. I'm proud of what we completed here, because it did come together organically, and it really intentionally, and really coming from a place of wanting to share information with our community. And that was really true. Like, well, I want to talk about this. This is something that's really impacting us. I just lost my mom. She dealt with all these health issues. Who can we, and like, it literally happened organically like that. So I just feel like, and then all of the engaging comments that we got from people, whether they were in the circle or not, they still reached out, and they didn't have to. So I'm proud of it, and I think it worked out well. So and like I said, I was kind of coming out of a funk, and this brainstorming kind of putting our heads together just kind of worked. So I appreciate you being game for this and participating.
I think I can say we did a good job with this one,
Mhm.
Women's Month. Considering that we started off with the Black History Month, which we just kind of put together like a challenge. I think this one was more formatted, and I like the format. And here we are doing a wrap up show of 4 episodes worth of a lot of content that
Mhm.
I'm sure our listeners, viewers will enjoy as they go back and forth trying to figure out where they may have missed out on from these clips, and watch the rest of the show. And don't forget to like and subscribe, because you're going to be missing out when the shows come out. You need to get that notification.
For sure. And thanks for the reminder. Please like and subscribe. Certainly can send feedback, and the socials are there. Sambaza's very active on his socials, and you may want to go live with Sambaza one day, send him a note. And also, we talked about he is slated to be an ambassador at the 2024 Afros Audio, hey, you may just want to buy Sambaza a coffee for when he's in the airport, or, help buy him dinner, for him and a couple of creator friends. Hey, podcasters have, need
I'll take it.
resources.
I'll
So,
take it.
yeah, we appreciate that. This is definitely something that, we take out of, spare time, away from our families and, careers and, make this happen because we enjoy it. But, resources definitely are always welcome. And, we try not, we don't want to put anybody out by that. But, we certainly would, welcome anyone who would like to share or in support. He is, and I'm actually trying to make that trip myself at the Afros Audio Podcast Festival in 2024 in Baltimore. And so maybe you want to, support a podcaster in a way. So let us know, and we can let you know how you can make that happen.
All right, cool.
For sure. I know I get I'm laughing about that because it's not something that we
Well,
we
we're gonna be there. We're gonna make it.
for sure, definitely. Yeah. Looking forward to that. That'll be excellent. So we have talked about these great episodes, which actually there was at 5, right? Yeah, 5. So 147, 148, 149, 150, and 151, where we talked about everything from health, internal, mental health, diet and exercise, activism, sports, so many different things. This is a part of the culture. And, we definitely want to amplify these voices because they're important for sure. So about, we can looking at the time. Anything else to share?
No, I'd like to say it was great hanging out today, and looking forward to more.
Oh, we have comments.
Oh yeah, the comments. Tiffany B says the shows were very informative, and I really enjoyed viewing. Thank you, Miss Tiffany B.
Oh, wonderful. We appreciate that for sure. And again, we will have the notes of all of our guests, links and such in the show notes. So give us, some time, and our audio episode will be up. And shout out to Miss Demita, hello, interesting,
Hi, Denise.
who gave us a wave there. Shout out to her. We appreciate you tuning in and checking us out. Catch the replays for all the other episodes. And let's see what else. Anything else, Sambaza?
Uh, it's good night from me.
All right. Okay. So, yeah, check us out again, guys. We'll be planning to be on again next Wednesday, and the Wednesday after that, have some great guests um coming up, but more on that later.
All right.
Anything else, Sambaza?
No, I'm good. Thank you so
Okay.
much. And guys, good night.
Okay. All right. See you guys next time, and take care.